Getting started with Autoit. Autoit version 1 and 2 were statement-driven and designed primarily to simulate user interaction. Then there's Autoit version 3 onward. The Autoit syntax is similar to the one found in the basic family languages. I included the download link in the description below. Learning Autoit is made easy, as their site autoitscript.com contains a comprehensive documentation set along with the forum, where the Autoit users community is engaging by exchanging pre-made scripts, sharing ideas, helping to solve scripts problems, and many more. Let's go to the variables library. By searching Autoit along with the syntax, we can easily locate the documentation. A variable is created by starting with the symbol $sign followed by a unique identifier in the form of text, numbers, or even signs. The variable's data type is automatically provided by the Autoit, based on the value assigned, which is after the equal sign. Variables can be in one of many data types: string, integers, boolean, hex, decimal, and there are even more unique data types that only Autoit can recognize. So be aware when assigning a value to a variable. Mostly, in human error, while assigning or changing the values, changes its data type without noticing it, resulting in a mismatch or wrong output. So, to start, the Autoit by default is located in Program Files 86-bit, and to open it you need to look for the site folder and find site.exe. Or just make a new file script by going to the folder you wish to save and right-clicking in that folder, and then selecting New, Autoit v3 script. After creating, we can edit it by right-clicking on it and selecting Edit Script. And the script will open. Or we can easily open it by typing site in the search window. By opening, it will open the previous script project if there's any. As always, the beginning of learning computer language starts with Hello World. So let's make one by using a message box, a common user interface, to see the output of our script. Autoit provides users with a drop-down tip or hints when typing a script containing its formal parameter. In this example, our message box parameter needed a flag, a title in the form of a string, text as a string, and inside square brackets referring to an optional parameter. When not provided, it will use its default stored value. So, for the flag, we use the most common, a message box with a simple OK button, 0, as its flag. Message box as title, and finally we have our Hello World text, and we leave the optional parameter to its default value by closing the parameter with parenthesis. Now to test our scripts there are two ways to do it, by pressing F5 or going to Tools and Running. But as you can see, it is disabled because scripts are required to have stored as Autoit file or O3 to run. All we have to do is by going to the file and choose either Save or Save As. Let's save it on our desktop this time. And here we go, we have our first script, the famous Hello World. One line of script and we already have a working script. Autoit documentation, most of them, is included with examples. Here are some of the ways of declaring a variable. Like before, we can declare a variable just by assigning a value. This is only possible because we did not declare must declare vars or by declaring it as default. Many people activate it by declaring variables, and this way scope must be provided. This help removes the chance for misspelled variables causing bugs. I'll explain more of this just a little bit later. Three types of scope can be applied to the variables: dim, global, or local. By using dim, it will make variables local if it doesn't already exist globally, in which case it reuses the global variables. Global forces the variable to be accessible globally. And there's local, which makes variables accessible only in function scope unless it is declared outside function, resulting in the same as global scope. Okay, so let's apply variables to our message box. We can easily declare variables like this, and then to use their value, all we need to do is put its variable where we want it to be used. In this case, we put it into the text parameter of the message box along with other strings. To combine strings, we need to add and sign in between. And here we have it. String var is a data type string because we provided the text inside the quotation, and int var is an integer because we provided it with a number. And they are both classified as global variables because they are declared outside functions. As I said, local declared outside functions become a global scope. Okay, let's make a sample function. Scripts inside functions are not executed unless the functions are called. And this is how we call it. For me, to make it less difficult in locating or identifying certain variables, I declare the global variable with uppercase letters at the beginning of the identifier and all lowercase for locals. Let's modify the value of a variable inside function and see what will happen to it by calling the function twice. First call, the value of the inside function is changed by adding in var of 1, and by exiting the function, with its variables declared as local are erased. So, in the second call function, the variable is redeclared and so the result is the same. On the other hand, global variables are stored and not forgotten unless we make them forget. Variables by default when it's empty or null can be identified using boolean as false, number as 0, or string as empty text. And those mean when it is not empty it can be identified by true, other than 0, or other than an empty string. In this case inside the function is declared without any value, and when we add an operand, the variable becomes a number as its data type, giving it a 0 as a value. And if we use unsign, the value will be an empty string. And by the way, we can't accidentally make the mistake of using a value from other functions. Autoit will give you a warning and give you a hint that it is undeclared globally. Okay, other than variables we have a constant value. This is the same as a variable except its value is constant or unchangeable. This comes in handy in avoiding accidentally changing a not meant to be changed variable. Like for example, let's first include a message box constants script. This includes global constants that have all types of message boxes stored and ready to be used. So, if a human error occurs and these values are not constant and if changed, it's highly possible that your message box, in this case, will get an error for calling an unfitted value for the flag parameter. Okay, furthermore we have the dim scope. By adding dim scope outside the function, the variable is considered global. And by adding dim inside the function, this should be local scope unless it has already been declared otherwise. Variables are not case sensitive, so dim identified it as having already been declared globally and reuses it. Here is how it works. After calling the function, the value of the global variable is used and changed to unlocal. That's why the second message box is the same result. On the other hand, using local with the same variables, declare it as a new local variable and act distinctively. As you can see here, we did not activate must declare vars, so by removing this scope, Autoit will not just provide data type but also scope. It provides scope just like how dim does. This time though a variable can be declared only with an assigned value or else it will give you an error. And reassigning a new value to a declared variable with a misspelled identifier won't give you an error. Instead of giving you a warning that the variable you are calling is undeclared, it makes a new declaration of a variable, resulting in a confusing outcome. In this case, must declare vars come in handy.